Hallo und willkommen. Ich bin Meister Lenz and you're watching Get Germanized. Is there no freedom in Germany?
I am bored. What should I do?
Ah, ich weiß.
Get Germanized.
I've been accused of this, or the German country, I should probably say, has been accused by, well, I don't want to generalize here, but mostly people from the USA, because you guys are freedom loving and all of that. I understand it's ingrained in your culture. But what bugged me is, well, the argument that Germany just doesn't have any freedom at all. Some say like, oh, yeah, you cannot make the Hitler salute and stuff like that. So Germany in general just doesn't have any freedom. Or you cannot, I don't know, for example, sing certain verses, verses I think it is in English, of the German, or of the Germany song, which only part of that is our national anthem. People seem to confuse that sometimes with like the whole thing being our national anthem, but it's only a certain verse of that song. And another certain verse of that song, which many of you guys are probably familiar with, the Deutschland über alles part, has been used by the Nazis back in the day. And so that is something we just don't use. It's not necessarily illegal, but we just don't want to use it because it's been so heavily associated, well, with the Nazis. And we kind of, like, after the Second World War, tried to pretty much stomp out everything, every tradition that they had, everything. I mean, it's questionable maybe to some people, like, it's still part of history, so should you really do that? But it's just how it is in Germany. They try to, well, not forget. It's not about forgetting the history. It's more about not repeating mistakes and trying to prevent that in a way. Some people say, well, that's a stupid way to go about it. And maybe it is, but again, that's just how it is in Germany. So I'm talking about these kind of freedoms that we don't have. So people say we don't have free speech in Germany because of that, which is bullshit. You can say pretty much anything. I don't see the big deal about these certain specific, very, very specific and isolated Nazi things being a problem. Like, why do you want to say that even? What is it? Like, is it just the principle of, oh yeah, but you cannot say everything, so it's not free speech, really, is it? Well, I tend to disagree with that, but maybe you guys have a very strong opinion on that and want to let me know in the comments. That's fine, you can do so. But saying Germany has no freedom because of a very isolated, very few things is just stupid, I believe, at least. Because, I mean, just as a counterexample, there are so many things that, well, are not necessarily illegal in America or in the US specifically, but people just don't do or frown upon heavily. For example, nudity on TV. Here in Germany, not a problem. Like, we even have vibrator and dildo commercials in the afternoon. They don't really show anything specific, just the device, but they exist, right? And that is, I mean, for me, a little bit questionable as well, because, like, but anyway, that's not what it's about. That stuff exists, and in America, I don't think that would be possible. Same with just showing nudity in general on TV, like I said. The big nip slip event, or the incident with, who was it again? That singer. I completely forgot who it was, but it's just like that kind of stuff wouldn't be a big deal in Germany at all. We wouldn't care. Or cursing on national TV. Not a big deal in Germany. If someone was to drop the German equivalent of the F-bomb here, we wouldn't make a big deal, a big fuss just because someone did that. I'm not sure if it's still like that in the US. I heard it is, and people get offended quite easily about these kind of things, and they don't, like, they beep it out on TV. That's, for example, something where your freedom is restricted in the US in comparison. Or people say, oh, the gun law is so strict. There's no freedom in Germany because, you know, you can't just buy an AK-47 or some bullshit like that. Who would want that even? Why would you need that? I don't see that. I mean, maybe it's because in Germany we grew up just not having these kind of things, like, or not needing them, or not feeling the urge for it. I mean, I think it greatly has to do with the fact that that is part of the Constitution in America, Second Amendment, I think it was, right? The right to bear arms. It just doesn't exist, never has here in Germany. I guess, I mean, actually, don't quote me on that. Maybe it has existed before. I don't actually know. But ever since I came into existence, basically, this hasn't been a thing in Germany. And again, maybe it's just my German mentality, but I don't feel the need to have a gun. Our Swiss neighbors or Austrian neighbors, I forgot which one it was, there it's more common to have a gun. Not in Germany at all. Like, the only people that have guns here are hunters, and even those need to get special hunting licenses, and they're not super easy to get. And I don't think they should be, and that's a different topic. It's just opening a whole different can of worms here. I mean, generally, guns as a sport, I think it's okay. I probably would have fun doing that, but I don't see the need to change the law here in Germany, and I don't think many people do, to give people access to guns. But in calling that a lack of freedom is a bit questionable as well, I believe, at least. But again, that could just be down to my European or German, whatever, mentality, that we just don't want guns, we don't need them. Maybe if we had them and people would try to take them away, that would be definitely a different story. I can see that. I wouldn't like that probably either. Like, any freedom in quotation marks that you have already, when that's taken away from you, you're going to be pissed no matter what. But I just think each country has some freedoms that the other country doesn't have. At least we're not like some developing countries where you, I don't know, can't even go out on your own on the street without the fear of being killed. Germany is a very safe country in that regard. And that's another thing, actually, which I talked about recently in another video of mine. One friend of mine from the US has told me she was baffled when I told her about my just walking around in forests and in the streets in the middle of the night, drinking alcohol, like a bottle of beer or whatever, carrying that around. I mean, that's another thing. Public drinking is no problem in Germany, and walking around at night, I mean, unless you go to very shady and ghetto-ish areas in a big city, it's no problem usually. Especially in rural areas where I live here, it's just no problem anywhere. Like, we wouldn't have to be worried about being in danger. Again, unless you're very stupid and, I don't know, go somewhere really dangerous, which I can't even think of something like that right now. So that's the thing, like, walking around, there's freedom of movement, I don't know, mobility without fear of being killed exists here. I mean, I'm pretty certain actually, that must exist in many parts of the US as well. Probably also the rural areas more than anywhere else. But people from the city in the US are always like amazed when I tell them about this. But I would love to hear your opinion on that as well, actually. But yeah, there's just so many things that are different, and I don't think it's fair to say that one country has no freedom. I could say, well, America, in my opinion, from my point of view, doesn't have any freedom, which is also bullshit, of course. I don't know, one thing that you could argue is all the taxes in Germany are so high. I talked about that in another video as well. Are they socialist countries or whatever you guys call Germany sometimes, or not you, but some people. They look down upon that welfare state and so on and so forth. I mean, again, different can of worms here. But yeah, taxes make it not necessarily more difficult to I mean, to a degree, I mean, they take more money away from you. So if you wanted to open a business and fuel the economy that way, it's a bit more difficult. But I mean, if you open a business, for example, here in Germany, there are many things that you can declare in your tax declaration, and you have to pay less taxes then and stuff like that. So it's a very complicated topic. So you can't generally say, oh, because of the high taxes, the economy isn't great or whatever, which is not true. Germany's economy is the best in Europe. I think if it still is, I hope so. While filming this, it was at least at some point. It's basically the engine of Europe, and well, people will hate this argument, I think, or this statement. Some people from other countries, I'm pretty sure many people have strong opinions on Germany here in Europe that live outside of it. So I'm not gonna, again, talk about that too much right now, but I'm just saying, I can see where these arguments sometimes come from, but generally Germany is a free country with many freedoms that other countries just don't have. And I just think to say that the US is a country of full freedom, you can do whatever you want, opportunities for everyone, to a degree that might be true, but definitely not really. So yeah, I'm not trying to diss your country or whatever, I'm just, you know, trying to explain my view on the whole thing. And I would love if you guys, you know, would start a civilized discussion in the comments about this. Emphasis here on civilized, of course. If we could have that, that would be fantastic. I would be really interested to hear all of you guys and girls' opinion on this. And yeah, let me know what you have to say. And apart from that, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to get Germanized. Goodbye and auf Wiedersehen.